Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint. We are in downtown Greensboro this morning with a very special guest, Mayor Marikay Abuzuaiter. And the last time we were on, we were just talking off camera. We were about to sweat to death at Country Park. So back then it was candidate for mayor,
Correct.
Marikay Abuzuaiter. So we're glad to have you, and we just really want to talk to you and get caught up on what's going on with the city of Greensboro right now. So I have got some questions. I'm just going to start firing away.
That works.
And just let me know what's going on. So, generally speaking, now that you're in your role of mayor, how's everything going?
Oh, I think it's going fabulous. I think a lot of people were worried because, I've got 6 new council members, but they are just moving ahead. They're energetic. They're passionate. I'm able to keep up with them. So that's a good thing. And, it's just really, we're getting a lot of emotion out of them and the fact that they want to do good for Greensboro.
Yeah.
And that warms my heart.
Yeah. So, what kind of challenges? Now that you mentioned that a lot of new faces on council, what challenges does that or barriers does that create, or does it?
Not really. I think you have to kind of learn and get to know your colleagues. I've known them in different settings over the years. So we already had some relationships, but it's just getting to know them. And, they've had to learn a lot. So they've had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time. What we're just 6 months into, you really can't count December. That's when you get sworn in and Christmas is right there.
Yeah.
And then in January, we had 2 weeks of state of emergency snow. So, it's taken a while, but we had an amazing retreat in February. And, we've had a lot of meetings, a lot of small group meetings. They have had a lot of discussions and meetings, learning about how the city runs, all the protocols, all the procedures, a lot of legalities. So it's like compacted into a small amount of time, but they're learning very well.
Right. And obviously, before we get down to the housing side of everything, which is a lot of why we do our podcast here, but what do you see the biggest challenges? What are the challenges Greensboro is facing today that really, in your mind, needs a lot of attention?
So I just came back from the U.S. Mayor's Conference in Long Beach, California. And all of the mayors are talking together about their challenges and the things they need to work on. We're all the same. We all have the same challenges, the same issues. I would say number one right now is homelessness. A lot of people are concerned about the homeless, and rightly so, but we need to be able to collaborate with more partners in order to help eradicate that. So it might mean more collaboration with our faith communities. It might mean more collaboration with some of our private corporations. We're kind of ahead of the game a little bit because not many of the mayors I spoke to were considering the permanent supportive housing.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are, Tammy Thurm has brought that forward, and the fact that, a lot of people who are homeless have challenges, and permanent supportive housing helps them get through those challenges with clinical social workers and all of the information they need, mental health, whether it's drug addiction, all of those things, because I think that's a lot of what we see.
Yeah. I was in downtown Charlotte not too long ago, and just to kind of put it in perspective, Greensboro is obviously a major city, but not quite the size of Charlotte,
Correct.
for example. And really, I mean, for years I've been going to downtown Charlotte and staying from time to time, and just the last couple of times I've been, the homelessness has really stood out because when I leave my hotel, I walk to eat, I walk to do my
Right.
everything, and it is just and even today, where I parked and walked up here, I even noticed more than normal, and
Yeah.
so it is sad, and I know as a city we want to help everybody.
Yes,
So-
because it's really a shame that we can't eradicate homelessness,
Yes.
but each individual has a different story.
Exactly.
So one may be going through divorce, one may be going through domestic violence, one may be going through, unfortunately, we actually have a lot of foster children who are aging out of foster care, and therefore they may be homeless. So, it's something that we all need to collaborate with. I really want to work with the county. They are the ones who are responsible for social services, mental health, and drug addiction. The city doesn't get funds for that as such. So we do get some funds, but basically they are over those things. So I want to see more collaboration with our county to help us with this.
Right. So speaking of challenges, let's talk taxes. So that's obviously county, city. What's the latest? I mean, so I'm obviously in real estate, and I get calls all the time, especially a couple months ago, and all right when all the stuff was stirring. And so, what's going on with the tax situation in Greensboro?
Right. So we are working on our budget. Actually, I was working on it before I came here. And today, actually, this is Tuesday. There is a bill in the House to put a moratorium on property taxes, which means all of the cities and counties will have to go back and rework their budget. We know that the revaluations really are hurting a lot of people. We understand this. And I also want people to understand that, your expenses went up, also the city's expenses went up. But we've got to find a way to help the people whose homes were revalued at 200%.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
think
big.
I mean, me personally, again, I think you got to have a little common sense add that into the equation. But we were in a situation where reevaluations were really necessary, but I think the tax rate can adjust to keep to where obviously things have gone up, and getting into the budget. I think I read where the budget Greensboro City's budget's going up $150 million plus or minus. Is that accurate?
So it's around that. It's around the proposed budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and we've asked the city manager to go back and try to reduce it a couple more cents.
Yeah.
He's working on that. We've got a work session this Thursday. So I would love to be the mayor who's going to say we're going revenue neutral. I would love to.
Yeah.
But you have to realize, remember we got the police officers their raise a couple of years ago. That's a lot of money.
And they need that.
And they do. Otherwise,
All
we
first
lose
responders.
we lose officers, all first
Sure.
responders. And so we have to sustain that. And those salaries have to keep going up. They can't go down because we will lose good officers, good firemen, and good dispatchers.
So in that budget, with that budget increase, is there new services being offered, or is that just really cover the increased cost of doing business per se?
A lot of it is the increased cost of doing business because, for instance, we have grown in the city of Greensboro. We need 2 new fire stations. You're looking at $30-40 million. We need more police officers because we are growing, and we've got to be able to provide the services to anyone who is living within the city limits of Greensboro. And that is one reason why our taxes keep going up, because we've got to be able to provide those services. Will the property tax revenue help us? Of course. But, we have to increase our staff as well, because you've got to take care of everything. You've got to have more inspectors. You've got to have more staff. You've got to have more planning. You've got to have more zoning staff, all of those things. And let's not forget transportation, because in order to kind of catch up on all of the maintenance issues we've had in our recreation centers, in all of our buildings, and in our roads, we've got to be able to pay for that. And, just thinking about it, asphalt, gas, all of those things have gone up exorbitantly on the city.
Right. All right. Let's shift gears a little bit here. I'm gonna ask you kind of a two-part question, but why are businesses choosing Greensboro over other cities, and what kind of industry do you believe is going to push Greensboro through the next 10 years?
So, great question. So, I believe that Greensboro is, let me do the last one first.
Okay.
Is going to be an aviation, aerospace. I was lucky. I was at the U.S. Mayor's Conference and got to go tour the Jet Zero facility.
Oh, wow.
The Jet Zero, they are the ones coming, over a span of 10 years, and will be having over 14,500 jobs. So therefore, we need to have the workforce. So what we're doing now is workforce development, working with North Carolina A&T State University, working with UNCG, and working with Guilford Tech and the smaller colleges that we have in Greensboro. We are lucky because Jet Zero and all of the aviation businesses are going to be looking for those workforce people. And, being able to go through the facility was just, I can't tell you, it was thrilling.
How big is the facility there?
Oh my gosh, what did he say? Don't quote me, but I think it's like 300,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
It's huge.
Nice.
It's huge. And of course, it's prototypes and how they fly right now. But, I said, can I talk about it? And he said, sure, because we're coming to Greensboro. And actually, several of the upper staff have already moved to Greensboro.
Right.
So they believe in Greensboro. And why do people come to Greensboro?
Yeah.
Because you can not only work, you can play, you can thrive, and you can stay. So, and you can stay is the part that I think about, because Greensboro is a great place. If you need anything, it's within either walking distance or a short ride, or the longest is 10 to 15 minutes. You go to other cities our size, you're going to sit in traffic for 30 minutes.
Yeah. And our road system, we didn't really get into that, but our road system's really unique here in that, we have great access to lots of different directions.
Yeah.
And, to be really between Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, I mean, all these places, we have great road systems to feed those places, which I think is also a nice, in addition to the PTI, is a nice feature of Greensboro.
Right. And, I'm going to brag a little bit on my municipal planning organization committee. We are the ones who approved the last leg of the urban loop. Look at all the economic development that has opened up. And you see developers going out and seeing sites. You see businesses cropping up all along the urban loop. And I don't want to forget about the Greenway. That's a huge economic development tool, because now someone can walk the whole city and there's shops being, put in, and development there as well. And the neighborhoods are just thrilled.
Right.
It's amazing. So you've got the Greenway surrounding the inner city, and then you've got the urban loop surrounding the outer city. Logistically, people are really happy because you can get to anywhere just about in 10, 15 minutes.
Well, let's jump into housing a little bit. Let's talk about Greensboro has an initiative called Bill 10,000. You and I've talked about this a little bit. I kind of have some questions about it, but tell me how's that going, and where are we at on that?
Okay, we are just, I think last month, it's been 1 year since the city manager announced his initiative. And you know what? I'm thrilled that he did, because we're already almost at 3,500 units. Now, that does mean apartment units or housing units or even ADUs, that's accessory dwelling units. So that many units coming on board in a year, think about, we're going to meet the goal way ahead. If we continue this, the trajectory it's going, we are going to meet the goal way ahead of 2030. So I hear some people say, well, we're going to need 40, 50,000 homes or dwelling units. In saying that, I think everyone was really kind of frightened at the amount of jobs that were coming, but they're all being phased in. It's not going to be overnight.
Yeah.
So we've got time to try to strategically plan, get those fire stations in, get all of the things that Greensboro needs, all of the bus routes done, everything so people can get to where they need to be.
So how are things going internally with the city and developers and or builders, permitting, inspections, all that kind of planning? How's that going? Because and no matter what city you go to, I've been to a lot of them. There's always rub there. Okay,
Yes.
so we know that. And but how is that relationship right now, or how are things going there? Are we working to try to always improve that, of course? But where are we at now?
Sure. So we've streamlined it quite a bit. It used to take 2-3 weeks to even get an answer on anything, because you had people pretty much manually doing everything. Now that we are using some computer software, we're able to get answers on things within a day or two. So we have streamlined, and we actually have developers who are saying, thank you so much. When I go to X city, it takes a month. When I go to this city, I think the only holdup we have right now is we need more inspectors. And of course, there you go, you're going to need the salaries and everything to support them, because that is the hard part, getting the inspectors to know, that they're not spread too thin. Because if you have inspectors that are working day and night, then you're going to have tired inspectors, and they're not going to have time really physically in their day to get to what you need.
Yeah. And I will say, I am a member of Triad, which is obviously a very industry specific group, and they work very closely with the city staff, I think, and help provide input. And I think that's great of the city to
Right.
take and listen to that because they're taking a lot of our industry professionals' views and communicating that, and that's real
Exactly.
important.
And that's who we need to hear from.
Yes.
So I've been in many rooms where there have been the builders, the contractors, the developers, the real estate
Yeah.
professionals. The more people you can get in the room from each area, and it doesn't always have to be the same people,
Right.
because people have different ideas. But when you have all of that in one room, there's a lot that can be done.
And John Hardisters does a great job
Oh,
at
he's
Triad,
great.
and he's very knowledgeable especially on the political action side and just in general. So I mean, I think that's great that the city works with Triad
Oh, yeah.
and listens and takes their thoughts and ideas into consideration. So
And we just went
we
through
appreciate that.
and did some tweaks on the housing ordinance and the commercial building ordinance. And I had told my colleagues, they were the ones wanting to push that. And they took a group of the real estate professionals on a tour of the city
Yeah.
to show them what they're trying to fix and tweak in the ordinance. And we really didn't get a lot of pushback because, it was well thought out, there was strategy, and it was for the betterment of Greensboro, and everyone was on board.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little infrastructure. What are some projects infrastructure wise that you're excited about for Greensboro? Anything in the pipeline or that you can talk about or?
So business wise, no, I can't talk about, but we are still doing our best to attract and entice businesses
Okay.
and developers, all of those things. People say, well, do you give incentives? No, we don't give incentives. We make sure a company can provide X amount of jobs, X salary, and then sometimes we give them a tax break. So yes, we need that tax revenue, but we also need those businesses coming in or we're going to be stagnant.
Yes.
I think we can all feel that. So we're doing a lot of those things. And, as for infrastructure, I think you can look around. I
We
mean,
can
there's
hear it,
parking deck. A lot of people talk about Greensboro has horrible parking downtown. I was just at an event and the Greensboro Merchants Association had slides up on the screen. What was the most talked about topic in 1940? No parking downtown.
Never change.
1950, you go all the way up to now. It's always been the topic.
Yes.
So, we're doing the best we can. We're listening to the business owners. We've done walks downtown with the business owners to see what they need because, as we all know, yes, we have other areas in Greensboro that need work, but your downtown is your heart.
Yeah. Speaking of downtown, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about downtown. So, what's the status of downtown Greensboro? I know there's a lot going on with DGI. Just what's generally speaking, what's going on downtown?
So downtown, downtown is not crime-ridden, as is stated sometimes in social media.
Right.
Sure, you need to be careful in any downtown. You need to know your surroundings in any downtown. And there are some homeless who are a little aggressive. We're trying to attend to those things. But really, it's a pleasant time to go downtown. We're doing, strolling Saturdays where we close down the streets. A lot of people complain about the noise from the muscle cars that go through on Friday and Saturday nights.
I like it. I didn't say we come down some Friday nights and eat. And I can.
You like the kabooms?
I can only speak for me. I enjoy walking up and down the street downtown, and I enjoy seeing just not knowing what you're gonna see, and I just think that's the cool part of downtown.
Right.
And I don't really ever feel unsafe. So,
No, I haven't either.
so if you're listening, I can only speak for me, but we enjoy coming down and grabbing dinner, walking off our dinner, and just doing some. Just watch and see what's going on. It's interesting. And
So my husband and I kind of have a tradition. We come down on Saturdays and ride the trolley and stop and eat and stroll a while and get back on the trolley. I mean, we could park just about any place on Elm Street
and jump
and the trolley will come by. So, I don't think the parking is that bad. I don't think it's unsafe at all. Are there issues and problems and challenges? Of course. but we are so much better off than some
Yeah.
cities I heard about.
Yeah. Well, in closing, I just want to ask, is there anything that you would love to tell the people of Greensboro that, I mean, I know you're very passionate about the city and all things Greensboro. Is there anything you'd love to share with the people just in your short time as mayor? I know you've served a long time, but as your term as mayor so far, what are you most excited about, just in general? Anything particular?
I am most excited about seeing all the building going on. I think if a lot of people remember, there were times in several decades where we were pretty stagnant. So I am thrilled to see this. And I always give credit to prior councils. I think that's very, very important because, it's not just me who is doing this. This has taken years and years. And I want everyone to understand that, there were some visionaries, and I hope that I can be one of those as well. But you have to have those visionaries who think of the top thing in the world to bring to Greensboro or to think of, and then see it come to fruition. So I am seeing a lot of the hard work that they did along the way. So I must give credit where it's due.
Well, great. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. I just want to say I'm a lifetime resident of Greensboro. I grew up here, went to college here, uh, own a business here. So I mean, I just have seen Greensboro, and I listened to my mom and dad, mainly my dad who lived on Fifth Avenue. Um, they talk about how they used to ride their bike downtown,
Right,
and
right.
I just love hearing it now as I get older, and I'm seeing it change, and it's just a kind of full circle thing. But Greensboro is a great place,
It is.
and if anybody's ever looking for a great place to land, Greensboro, anywhere around Greensboro, it's just a great area.
Yeah.
For families and anybody who wants to just live a nice, comfortable life and have great economy, great entertainment, great things to do all the time.
And
So,
I don't want to forget to lift up our parks and recreation and our trails. And I mentioned the Greenway and, all of those things because everybody can find something that they like here.
yeah, and I'm glad you said that. So we have the Tanger Center,
Yes.
right behind us, well behind that building. But what a cool place that is! And
Yeah.
then, of course, we have the Coliseum over there. And I think if I remember correctly, they were getting ready to do some improvements in the Coliseum.
The Coliseum, and we're also looking at doing an entertainment district around there. The number one complaint we've gotten, I won't even call it a complaint, it's more of a suggestion. It'd be great if along Gate City Boulevard and that area we had more coffee shops, places for people to go, grab a snack, things like that.
Yeah, especially before and after events. It
Yes.
is kind of a place, and it also gets people there earlier. So there's less of commotion at one time.
The traffic all at once is
Yeah,
not
exactly.
easy.
Well, it's a great place. I'm glad you're doing a great job,
Thank
and
you.
we'd love to have you back again sometime.
Anytime.
You're a great guest to have, and we learn so much when you're with us. So if you want to catch this podcast or future or past podcasts, you can go to triadnewhomeguide.com, and we look forward to seeing you next time.